Hello, welcome back to my workshop. This week I want to put this picture onto this t-shirt. How am I going to do that? So about 5 years ago when I built this workshop, I wanted a whiteboard like this one, and I was bought this as a present, but my nephew drew this picture on it. Now I like this picture so much that I didn't want to rub it off, so I left it on there, and it's been there for about 5 or 6 years. So as a result, I've never used this as a whiteboard, but now what I want to do is transfer this image onto a white t-shirt or onto a black t-shirt. So what I'm going to try and do is some block printing. Now for this block printing, I'm going to use MDF. I'm going to carve it with my CNC machine and then use some fabric paint and print it directly onto the t-shirt. So this is what I did.
So the first thing I had to do was obviously take a photograph of the board and then transfer that onto my main computer. And using Paint Shop, I manipulated the picture. Originally I was going to use the whole picture, but then I decided to just use the character. Made the character into a transparent background picture and then superimposed it over the top of a circular saw blade. This was going to be the basic design. So using a combination here of Paint Shop and Microsoft PowerPoint, then transferred the image onto my computer downstairs, measured up the t-shirt to see how big I wanted it. I wanted it about 200 by 200 mil. Transferred the image onto the CNC computer and then using Vectric Aspire manipulated the image to create a relief version. Now obviously you saw there I had to flip the image because obviously when you print it you get a negative image of the design. Cut me a piece of wood or my MDF to 200 mil. Now obviously because it's going to be cutting right to the edge, what I had to do is mount that briefly onto a board just so it could be held into the CNC machine. This causes a bit of problems because the bit of board I mounted it to was about 5 or 6 mil thick, and that caused me a bit of clearance problems with the height of my router. So I had to quickly move the router up a little bit. Now with the design converted to some G code, so I could then use Mac free software to actually run the CNC machine. Started the carving and then basically let it run. Continuously monitoring it to make sure nothing happened, and obviously vacuuming off the dust because it's MDF, and MDF, as you all know, is not very good. So basically watching the design here, it's quite precise how the CNC machine actually routes out the recesses. It starts off, it does an initial first cut and then it goes back and refines the cut until it actually clears that area. So you can see there it's clearing an area. It's probably about, what did I say, about 4 mil deep, the actual recesses. So basically it goes round and round the character, gradually clearing off all the larger areas. I could have done this in 2 stages using a clearing bit, which it requires 2 sets of G code. So the first set to clear the bigger areas and then a second set of G code for the detail. But I thought because that involves a tool change, I thought I'd just use the 60-degree V bit I've got here to do the entire thing. But obviously this meant it did take longer. So to actually, from the start of the carving to the final product, it took just over 2 hours. The detail was quite good. Obviously the smaller the detail, it becomes harder to actually print because you need enough area for the ink to actually adhere to. Obviously if you've got very fine lines, it becomes a little bit tricky to get the ink, enough ink to stick to it. This is obviously now carving the outside or the outer edge of the shape. Now I could have made it round, but I thought what I'll do is I'll leave it as a square and then make a framework for it, and then obviously a square framework is going to be a little bit more reliable than a round framework. You'll see why in a moment. So once this had finished the carving, there was obviously left a little lip around the edge, which you'll see in a moment that I'll clear off with a chisel. Now it's just finishing off the outer edge, and then it will go in back into the centre to do some more of the detail. Yeah, continuously vacuum it to get rid of as much of the MDF dust as possible. So now it's clearing my the main jumper area of the engraving. So you can see here that all the words are actually inverted. Again, that's because when you print it, you obviously print it face down. So this is effectively a negative of the final image. It's doing the final details on the face and on the outer surface of the circular saw blade. This is quite therapeutic to watch when you're doing it, but after about an hour and 3/4 it does get a little bit tiresome. So there's a couple of minutes of watching it here that actually took a couple of hours. The final finish with the MDF is not too bad. I think if you use normal wood, whether it's softwood or hardwood, obviously softwood's going to be worse because you've got a grain to deal with. This could have actually been carved. You can actually carve it by hand. It's not too difficult to carve, but obviously this design would have taken quite a bit of time. I'm sure the old block printing people of years gone by, they used to do it successfully, so I'm sure we can manage it with a CNC machine. Okay, removed it off the CNC machine, trimmed off the edges, the very edges, with a sharp chisel, then give it a quick sanding. Now I give it a coat of shellac. Now this is to help clear the ink or the paint off after you finish using it. Obviously it's MDF, so it will absorb moisture. What you want to try and do is stop it absorbing too much moisture. So give it a good old coating with shellac, and then let that dry. Now here obviously there was already an arrow on the back of the piece of MDF, so I thought I'd better clarify it by putting a thicker arrow the right way up. Now I made the quickest frame in the world. It's just literally 4 pieces of MDF, about double the thickness of the actual imprinting block. This is so I can have a base and the printing block. It will come clear in a moment. Then I put a couple of small blocks on the back just to act as handles, because obviously once it goes into the frame it might be difficult pulling it out. And finally a piece of cardboard, and that's all ready to go.
Right, so hopefully you can hear me. Let's see how this goes. Right, I've got my base plate which I'm going to use. I've got my actual press. I've got my frame for putting the press in, like this. Okay, I need a brayer, which is basically an ink roller, one of those. My medium, which is my ink, which is a material ink, so hopefully, or paint, so that should be good. After I've pressed it, I should iron it and then it's good for a wash. Now I need a piece of glass. Okay, a sheet of glass. Now this sheet of glass I salvaged yesterday from an A3 printer that we had, which no longer worked. That's a bit slippery. Let's put something under there. There will be a minute, maybe a sec, just put this here, like this. Alright, so basically put my paint on there. and then do some of this. Okay, paintbrush and a t-shirt. Now I'm going to go straight to my t-shirt. I'm not even going to bother going and trying it on something else. Finest quality. Right, this is where I've got to get it in the right place. Oh, shows you it's brand new. Still got labels on it. Right, so where am I going to have this? This has got to be probably about there, I reckon. That's right. Can you see? Right, how am I going to get this straight? Now what I'll do is I'll put a bit of tape in. Good old masking tape on the top where I want it. Down the side. And on the bottom. I know this is not critical, but I'd like to get it straight-ish. Even though it's guaranteed to be straight because it's a circle. Right, so then I put this and this inside the t-shirt. Make sure I got it right around as well. Inside the t-shirt. And using that bit of cardboard because it's slightly squishy. So when it presses onto it, it actually presses into something rather than just onto something. Okay, this goes on here. Try and get that in my square. Somehow. That looks squarish. And put my really dodgy frame around it. I'm hoping it's going to fit. Come on. Right. Like that. I think it goes like that. And press. Okay, so that's ready to go. Move that over. Right. Ink. Paintbrush. Don't know how much I've got to use. Let's do that. Sprayer. Now apparently you've got to do this to noise. I mean the ink, okay, make sure it's the right way up. Now basically what I do is add this across the surface of this, and I've left it to dry, oh dear. Make sure it's all covered, nice and even. Make sure there's no splodges. Oh, get it on your thumb. Right, oh, let's go for it. Right, you ready? And press. Press, press, press. Press, 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 press. Now in theory, if it is not quite right, because of the frame, I should be able to have another go. And let's have a look. It sort of worked. Let's give it another go. Bit on the top. Hopefully this time. Right, well, that's going to have to be it. Take that out. Take this off. If I can get it off, oh come on. This out. Right. So, after hours and hours of messing around, we have one t-shirt, some tape stuck on it. It looks like this. Guess better put it on. Right, okay, let's plug this in. So, t-shirt's done. Frank's little workshop. Yeah, it seems to have worked okay. There's some different material, medium I want to use. It's this Liquitex stuff. And that turns normal acrylic paint into a material paint. So in theory this should behave the same as this stuff, which is very expensive. So I'll probably try that again. This could have been better. I shall try it in different colours. I hope you've enjoyed the video. I hope you learned something. It was good fun doing. It took quite a few hours, but now I can make some more of these if I want to. And I probably should have got a medium. This one's a little bit big. Right, thank you very much for watching. If you do like the video, don't forget to like and subscribe. And I'll see you for the next video. Bye. Hello? Hello, 1, 2, 3. James, come here. Whoops. So, about 5 years ago, when I first built my garage workshop,